Canelo is a massive minus 800 favorite, for Saturday's title fight against Billy Joe Saunders. Do you see this as one-sided as Vegas does?
If you look at the form of each fighters currently, then I understand the minus 800 number, but I think it's a little wide for my taste just because I think you're underestimating what Billy Joe Saunders brings to the table. I understand he hasn't been lining up the world, beating up on Isufi, on Kosares, and on Murray in his last 3 fights. Those fighters don't inspire fear in anybody, and he's only got 4 knockouts in his last 15 fights. I get all of that, but this is the biggest fight of his career, the biggest payday. He understands what's at stake, and he's trained harder than ever. I know we've heard that story before. He's been working alongside Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion, and when you look on the other side, it's also easy to understand why the number is minus 800 in favor of Canelo. When you see that he's beaten Daniel Jacobs, that he knocked out Sergey Kovalev, Callum Smith, all 3 fighters who were among the top fighters in their respective weight classes at 60, 68, and 75. But the one thing here is we're looking at styles, and styles make fights, and that's why the over is such a big player in this situation, because if we looked at what Erislandy Lara, a slick southpaw, did to him, what Floyd Mayweather, what Austin Trout did to Canelo Alvarez, they really made him suffer, and it was tough, hard-fought decisions with the exception of the Floyd washout, but there's a blueprint to beat Canelo if you're a slick fighter. That was, though, 2013, 2014. Since then, he's improved so much that he's the #1 pound-per-pound fighter in the world.
All right, Bernardo, tell us about this drama. Billy Joe Saunders didn't show up for arrival photos on Tuesday. He apparently has some kind of beef with the size of the ring. What more can you tell us about his concern over the squared circle they'll be inside?
I think it's gamesmanship at the end of the day. I just saw Billy Joe Saunders walk by here at the hotel. That's the host hotel for this fight. And he understands what's at stake. It's a little bit of, hey, Canelo is used to dictating the terms for everybody. If he says jump, you say how high. Why? Because you're going to get an 8-figure payday. So everyone is really, everybody gives in to whatever Canelo wants, whether it's catch weights, whether it's no rehydration clause, whatever it is he wants. And Billy Joe Saunders is coming in here saying, hey, I'm a champion too. And so if you want my belt, then you're going to have to give in a little bit. And ultimately it comes down to this. In any negotiation, if it means that much to you, you put it in the contract. This was not in the contract. So at the end of the day, they're going to negotiate. They're going to move it here or there. He'll gain a foot maybe in terms of ring size, maybe 2. But at the end of the day, it's what the commission puts out inside this stadium behind me that they're going to fight in. His father, Tom Saunders, said, look, we don't want to give up our legs. That's the most important thing. And if we can't have that big ring size, then we're giving up a huge advantage to Canelo Alvarez.
All right, now Canelo might be a minus 800 favorite to win, but he's even money to win by stoppage, knockout, TKO, or disqualification. Now, for this fight to go the distance, if you believe it goes all the way through 12 rounds, it's minus 120. So you don't have to lay a huge price on Canelo. There are other options. Bernardo, how do you see this fight ending?
It's an interesting fight because if he does get the bigger ring, then Billy Joe Saunders is going to use every single inch of it to move around, and that will be until either Canelo catches him or he gets exhausted. That's why, the over is 10.5, and I think it's pretty accurate. I think it's going to be a really close fight for 8 or 9 rounds, and then if Canelo has really improved that much over the last 6 years, we're going to see him catch up to Billy Joe Saunders, close off the exits, and punish him and maybe stop him late. But I would not be surprised if it's a decision win for Canelo Alvarez, because his biggest victories have come by close decisions, be it Triple G, be it Daniel Jacobs, be it Miguel Cotto. I mean, all of those fights, Callum Smith at 168, all his biggest wins for Canelo have come by decision. So it wouldn't surprise me if Billy Joe Saunders can extend them that distance, and that was one of the concerns for Billy Joe, the judges.
All right, Bernardo, finally, let's assume Canelo, as expected, takes care of business and unifies these belts, takes the one from Billy Joe Saunders. Who's next for Canelo after this fight then?
Well, we're going to call Canelo Thanos because he's looking for those infinity stones, and right now he's got 4 of them. He's got the pound-for-pound title, the Ring Magazine title, the WBC title, and the WBA title. At stake is a WBO title. That would be 5, and the only one left would be the IBF title that is in the hands of Caleb Plant. So that fight could take place in the month of September, so expect if Canelo wins, then we will have a full fight for undisputed before the end of the year. That's something that no Mexican fighter has ever done, so that's why it's such a big deal for Canelo Alvarez to take the WBO belt from Billy Joe Saunders and then go after Caleb Plant and that IBF strap.
Covers boxing for ESPN live from Jerry's World in Arlington, Texas. Bernardo Osuna, kind enough to join us here on BAT. Awesome stuff, Bernardo. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.